Oh my! What did you think when you saw that story?
Well, I thought what everybody thought. They were, horrified. It's just an act that you just can't even imagine. And I think right now, the German authorities have been pretty forthcoming in what they believe happened in this case, which is kind of unusual that they're letting so much of the facts out, but I think they realize that everybody wants to know. And based on what they've retrieved so far, which is one of the black boxes, they figured out that one of the pilots was trying desperately to get back into the cockpit, and he couldn't. And now what they're doing is they're doing a full investigation on the pilot that was in the cockpit. They received the okay to go into his apartment, and they've retrieved computers and paperwork, and they want to see what kind of mental state, what mental capacity he was in at the time, because as these facts roll out, it becomes apparently clear that it was, like a murder-suicide. So I think a lot of what is going on now is a lot of the European airlines who don't have the same rules that we have over here, which is that two pilots have to be in the cockpit at all times. They're trying to change things up over there. But in the days forthcoming, we're going to hear more and more about this person that was in the cockpit at the time that the plane went down. Also, they found out that the autopilot was set at 96, the altitude of 96 from 38,000 feet. So it's a horrible story. As the facts roll out, it even gets more disgusting, but it's something that we have to hear and something that we truly have to know about.
Yeah, he was only 28 years old, the suspect, and he took out over 200 lives. I mean, you think he knew he was doing that? I mean, I'm sure he did.
Well, they say that he's the only one that could have, if the autopilot was set at the altitude of 96 and he wouldn't let the other pilot in, he couldn't get it in. It's my understanding, and this is all through what I've seen on the news and what I've read, is that
right.
He couldn't get back into the cockpit. There is a keypad that you can press to get back in if you can't get in, but that the pilot inside has the ability to override that. So obviously he did not want him back in, so he knew what was going on and he knew what he was doing. There's mixed reviews about, or mixed information, I should say. There's some reports claiming that he was burnt out and depressed, and the airline themselves are saying that he was fit 100%. And certainly you have to look at it that way, where they're coming from, because there's liability on their part if they let him fly, of course, knowing that he was in this state. But the unfortunate thing is I don't think you ever know. If he never expressed to anybody that he was feeling burnt or depressed or suicidal, then, we'll never really know. As the facts become more clear, maybe we'll get a better view into really what was going on.
And some people were calling it the 9/11 of Germany. Would you go that far?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you said. I'm sorry.
I heard some anchors on some networks say that this was like the 9/11, except in Germany. Would you second that motion?
Yeah, I mean, what else? What do you say when that many lives are taken out at one time? I mean, I think everybody has a different opinion on what it was, and I think certainly whatever you believe, unless it's dispelled somehow by the evidence, is what your belief is. So, there was a mix of people on board. I think 3 Americans were on board. German school children were on board. I mean, the more you look at this story, the more despicable it becomes. It really becomes hard to watch after a certain amount of time. But like I said, it's information that I think we need to find out, because airlines, maybe based on this, need to change some of the policies. So hopefully we can only learn from this at the expense of all those terrified people that were on board.
And could you imagine, Stacey, the people who had phobias or maybe trying to get back into the getting on planes, people with OCD or what have you, and they see a report like this. I mean, oh my God! I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's unimaginable. It really is, and it does bring out fears. I mean, certainly you're going to hear on the news probably for the next couple of days or weeks. Whenever something like this happens, the psychologists and the talk about how this does affect people, because I think, Jordan, it affects people who don't have phobias about flying, just about getting on a plane, people that travel all the time that don't even think twice about it. I mean, it really does stir up a lot of emotion in people, and it's just a hard story to have to cover and really to even have to talk about.
Oh, no question. But the statistics still show that planes are the least likely out of cars and trains and things like that to have these accidents. True?
I mean, that's what you're telling. I mean, I don't read the statistics on it, but you always do hear that plane safety is usually the highest. So, you don't know what to make of something like this. Like I said, I mean, it's become abundantly clear that this was the work of the pilot. And so I guess, like I said, in the next couple of days, just to kind of figure out what his mental stability was, to find out what was going on with him. It's not going to bring anybody back. It doesn't change the circumstances, but maybe we can learn a little bit more, and maybe the airlines can screen a little bit better. I mean, it's just you don't even know what to say about it. There's no words to really say. There's nothing to say except that, we wish the best to all the families, and that's really about it.